Okay, hello and welcome to the second installment of Access Granted. I am your host, Victor Ramirez. My apologies for that delay right now, or me not talking right away. I'm trying to stream this directly to the Access Granted Facebook page, so that way, for those who want quicker access to it or want to view the podcast um, right then and there, or have the convenience of being able to watch it on demand, or as opposed to having to go to their source of whatever it is that you listen to your podcast on, whether it be Spotify, Apple Music, things like that. Um, yeah, sorry, I'm trying to share this on my personal page on Facebook as well to help give the inconvenience for that convenience of that. With that being said, now I can get back to the focus of this show. So for this second episode, I'll be talking mainly about my experiences with depression, how it manifests for myself in my life, and how it's affected me, how it's taken its toll on me, whether physically, mentally, and how I've been able to either not cope with it, healthily or properly, in manners that are both helpful for myself and those around me. Um, I do just want to comment and say that I am beyond overwhelmed with joy and happiness to see that the Access Granted page has received close to 100 likes on Facebook, which I never expected whatsoever. Not only that, but the fact that I had four separate individuals reach out to me and tell me whether they enjoyed my podcast or listening to it helped them out, sharing their stories with me or giving me advice, that makes me super um, overjoyed. As you can see, I'm stumbling with my words here. I'm trying to contain my emotions because it makes me feel so happy and so good to know that I can help make a positive impact in people's lives, and this is what this whole podcast is about for you guys. I am just one of you. All I'm doing is putting my name um, with this monstrous thing. Sorry, I'm just trying to move it so I'm not um, in the thing here. Sorry. Um, I'm just one of you guys. I'm an average Joe. I just happen to suffer with, um, have been blessed, excuse me, choosing my words correctly here. I've been blessed with these mental health issues because I know that myself being able to cope with it and having been through it, that it is meant for something grand, in the sense that if I can help prevent any unnecessary suffering in your life, in one of your loved ones' lives, or somebody that you may not even know in their life, that's what I'm here for, to use my struggles, my experiences, and overwhelming journeys to help you um, conquer these ugly mental health issues in your life that may have been inconveniencing you throughout your life. Sorry, I thought I got something on Facebook. Sorry, I apologize for that. Again, as you can see, oh no, I gotta learn how to point. So I was told that one of the things that I should do is to denote and make clear that I am in no way, shape, or form a psychologist, licensed psychiatrist, anything of that sort, nor am I any sort of substitute for those resources. All I am is just a person sharing my experiences. With that being said, I found a website, the SAMHSA, excuse me, I'm sorry, I can't even read that. It is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Association's website, where they can help find mental health services that are close to us. So if you are in need, or if you're in that position where you want to seek out help, there's that website. I know that it's very, very difficult in our society, being that you can't receive help if you don't have health insurance or any access to things like that. Or if you are undocumented, unfortunately, then you receive no help from the state in the form of Medicaid, and therefore mental health services are near impossible to receive. Um, that, and then the other thing that I have received as well, is it this way? Yeah, pointing down, is another website, the mhanational.org, the Mental Health Association's hotline or for finding therapy as well. Um, so you can feel free to go to those links directly. Um, and if you need help or you just, are just looking to get into it, looking for it, but you're sort of nervous or you don't know what to do, or this whole healthcare thing sort of confuses you in the sense of you don't know where to start, feel free. I am more than help to reach out. I am more than happy to help because I know what it's like to try and find the right therapist and the right psychiatrist and things of that nature. So again, I can do my best to point you in the right direction, but again, I just want to make it very, very clear that I am not a psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist, anything of that nature. And those two resources are readily available to you on demand. If you guys find any other resources, hotlines, or anything like that that I can include in my next video, feel free to forward those to me and I will include those happily. With that being said, I guess I will move into, or I will dive into the meat of this podcast. So depression comes in many forms, not being that there's only just the grand old typical clinical depression. As we know, depression comes in many subcategories or subformats. Some of the many examples, are postpartum depression. You have seasonal depression. You have what is bipolar depression, things of that nature. So depression in itself is a very, very large beast that just comes with many different heads to deal with, as I like to think of it as the Hydra from Greek mythology. You cut one head off and two more pop up. But for those that are curious and for the purpose of this podcast, there have been three types of depression that I have personally been diagnosed with and have been dealing with for the past 11 years. The first one was clinical depression, and that one was diagnosed by the inpatient hospital doctors. After my suicide attempt, I was diagnosed right away by them, and then my psychologist slash therapist as being, clinical Great Depression is what they call, or I forget, in the sense that that's what was surrounding or giving me problems at the time. And then as time moved on and the years passed on, it became more and more apparent that my depression was stronger or had more of an effect on me during the winter time, such as now, which is also known as seasonal affective disorder, or if you call it seasonal depression. Ironically enough, the acronym stands for SAD, S-A-D, seasonal affective disorder. Again, a little side note, that's why it's taken me so long to make this second video. I've been just drained of energy and drained of motivation whatsoever to literally sit in a chair, get in front of a camera and talk. There's been zero motivation for me to do it. Not motivation in the sense of you guys, but just it's been drained from me. So I do apologize for the delay in the video. But anyways, going back to the topic, the seasonal depression for me starts kicking in right around when the weather starts changing. Excuse me. And it manifests, it seems for me, just for me personally, that it manifests itself very, very strongly in physical symptoms. So extreme exhaustion, extreme levels of exhaustion. So it doesn't matter if I sleep 4, 5, 6, 12, 10 hours. Doesn't matter if I sleep enough or not enough. I wake up with the same level of energy, which is bar none, like little to none energy to last me for the entire day. Another thing, again, as I just mentioned, the lack of motivation or enthusiasm or vigor, vitality, another word that I like to use to describe what seems to be missing or that has been robbed from me throughout these months. So it's any time that the seasons start changing and you can start telling outside it's starting to get colder, things of that nature, especially when we do daylight savings time and we go back to an hour and the sun starts setting at 4 o'clock, and then I'm inside from 4 till whenever. And then now with the beautiful job that I've been blessed with to have, I wake up early enough and I go in to work at 6:15 and the sun's still not out, and then by the time I get out of work at 6 o'clock, sun's not there. So the lack of just sunlight and uh, nature that I intake throughout these months is lacking, and it does affect me to some extent. Um, the other one that seems to be still very new-ish to me, but also very, very relevant, is the bipolar depression. That one wasn't so much, it was skeptically diagnosed, both in cohesion, both in tangent, excuse me, I'm trying to think of the word, for between my two mental health professionals who work together to help me keep my life in check. That would be my psychiatrist and my therapist. That would have been diagnosed. So when did I start school? 2015. So maybe 2017. They were both very skeptical about it, both because they didn't think that I did suffer from bipolar. They just thought that the seasonal affective disorder and the clinical depression were just at different levels and manifesting themselves within me, greater at different times. But it became apparent over the past 2 years, between 2015 and 2017, that definitely my mood swings and changes were abnormal and definitely could not be considered within acceptable ranges, I guess. Even though I was the one to bring up the idea, because of course, um, as we like to all self-diagnose ourselves and go on WebMD and look up our symptoms and whatnot, I sort of felt like that there must have been some sort of other avenue for this mental health issue that I was dealing with at the time and still am, because it just seemed like that my clinical depression diagnosis at the time wasn't hitting the nail on the head, wasn't just what was going on. So I did bring that up to my therapist first, and he said, okay, maybe it does kind of make sense, so let me take a step back. I will talk with your psychiatrist, we'll get on the same page and see if we can come together on terms and see if we can both agree that this is what is going on with you, in fact. And it turns out that they agreed that I did suffer from bipolar depression. So what that means in layman's terms pretty much is that my depression can radiate or change from 0 to 100. So that meaning that Monday starting tomorrow I could be energetic and perfectly fine, but then come around Tuesday it will be the worst time alive and you'll see me barely being able to function, trying to take a nap whenever, keeping it hard to keep my eyes open, things of that nature. But thankfully that hasn't been the issue or the case with me thus far. So with those being my fortes, quote unquote, being my experiences with those types of depression, I do understand that we all are different. We are all individuals. We each experience things differently, and of course, our experience with mental health issues, of course, is going to differ from one person to the next. The case of individuality. With that being said, for me personally, the effects have been so much more, I feel, unbearable physically, in the sense that they manifest themselves, the symptoms of depression, being lack of energy, lack of motivation, vigor, vitality, and the exhaustion. For me, it's so much that I don't know whether it's because of how I am just built mentally, or whether it was how I was raised with, I don't, this mentality that I can do it and that I can shrug everything off and I'm able to push through it. But the effects that it has on me mentally, yes, it does take a toll on me. And yes, it is very, very difficult, but I've always felt that if I could get my physical symptoms under control or under wraps, that I could be better equipped to deal with the mental side effects of things, or the mental effects that the depression would take on me. So I feel like sort of my focus or my mindset has been shifted onto managing and sort of controlling the physical manifestations of depression for myself, and then focusing, turning my attention to the mental aspects, aka seeing my therapist regularly, taking my medications on a daily basis, not missing a dose, because that will definitely play tricks with my mind and the chemicals and imbalances in my brain that are already there. But for me, the depression, um, the past, more notably that I can remember, the past 5 years have been more quite in the physical symptoms side of things that I would say. So I am very curious for those that feel comfortable enough to, message me or reach out or anything to, um, what to share with me your stories, what your diagnosis is, if you feel comfortable enough sharing that, how it affects you, um, things of that nature, whether it's more of a physical or a mental aspect, um, and if you know of any tricks how to cope with it. So now that I think of that, thinking out loud, because I honestly was not prepared to make this podcast or this episode today, so I didn't make any notes to keep me on track. A spur moment kind of thing. There have been a couple of remedies that I should have at least talked about or mentioned, um, for me, that have helped me throughout the years. Again, more notably in the past 5 years, since I've been able to take the combination of therapy and medication more seriously and appropriately. Again, for me, it's been all about, the physical manifestations of these things. So trying to do everything I can within my power to, aside from medication, to sort of do anything to boost my energy level. So whether that means trying to get a better sleep schedule, drinking more water, trying to eat a more balanced diet, even though I know that's not the case. Um, Taking medications. I said aside from medications. Excuse me. Doing light therapy. So that's having bought a light from Amazon. I think it was for like 10, $15 that imitates the sun's UV rays to give me enough vitamin D throughout the day. So that way I just put a lamp in front of me, literally turn it on for 30 minutes. Although it's very, very bright, it's supposed to simulate the effects of the sun that has on you, and, replenish the vitamin D levels within you. Let's see here. Aromatherapy, doing like wax melts. I have, incense here. Um, One of the big things that I'm very, very big on, and that I'm a firm believer in, is sensory deprivation, which I did do a couple weeks ago. Pretty much, you go float in a tank. You're in pitch dark, no sound, nothing like that, and you're pretty much by yourself for an hour with your thoughts, and it's pretty much like a reset button. And I've been doing that again for the past 5 years, and for me, it's been a yearly thing, with the exception of last year. But I feel like now, more than ever, being a care provider for children and caring for others, I need to be more attentive to how much care and attention I'm giving to myself and to my needs. So I feel that I need to be going more frequently to do the sensory deprivation, because, in all honesty, aside from the medication, I feel like that thing is a complete gem. It's unreal. It is sublime. The experience, being alone with your thoughts and being forced to think about what's really bothering you or why you're sad, and being forced to have a dialogue is amazing in a sense. It's surreal. So there's two places that I've gone for this. The first one is Float Milwaukee. They have float tanks somewhere downtown ish, near downtown. I don't know the street. I know it's next to the Purple Door. And then the new one that I just tried these past couple weeks ago was Float Oasis, and that's out in Brookfield. I was just trying it because I saw on their website that they had a larger tank or something like that. But still, both places are amazing. 2 thumbs up for both of them. I would highly, highly recommend it for anyone who is looking for the next best thing, aside from medication. I'm trying to think of what else, things that I have done. Drinking more tea on a frequent basis, doing yoga, trying to do exercise, excuse me, more frequently, knowing that all the well added physical and mental benefits that physical relief, working out, exercise has on your body. I'm trying to think of what else at the moment. That is pretty much it. The biggest thing is, again, it's the case of individuality, knowing what's makes you happy or what puts you at ease. So maybe it might be just going for your favorite cup of ice cream at the end of the week after a long week. Maybe on Monday morning you treat yourself to some Starbucks or some Dunkin' Donuts coffee, something like that of that nature. It's just the smaller things that you can use as remedies to help push you throughout the day or throughout the hour to get you through the next 15 minutes, whatever it may be. So long as you're not hurting yourself or anyone around you, it is okay and it is all right. No one can tell you how to deal with mental health issues. Okay? That's the main key here. So long as you're not hurting yourself and you're not hurting others, you are okay. We want to be able to feel okay, but if we're doing so by being self destructive to ourselves, to our psyches, to our personalities, to others, it's not okay, and that's not what we want to be doing. Is that we want to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves first, and then that way we can help others. With that being said, I will be doing more small series like this where I dive into my clinical experiences with my diagnoses more in depth, as opposed to the first episode, which was pretty much just a intro video as to the goal of this podcast, what have you. Again, there are the two links here that I have, up and down. Sorry, I'm still learning how to do this. For those that are in the stage of looking for mental health professionals, again, it's the samhsa.org and the mhanational.org, finding therapy. Those two are great resources. I just checked those out specifically today for the purpose of sharing them. You put in the the city or area code that you are looking for mental health services in, and they give you a list of providers within your area that are there. I did try to find a resource more or less going along with what insurance you do or don't have, and every resource or every website that I went to pretty much went to the same thing, where they will refer you to the state office that have like resources about free mental health services and Medicaid covered off services and things of that nature. But again, I know that some people don't have access to that, and that isn't the case or whatever. But again, those are the two resources that you can use, and I would encourage everyone to use, even if you aren't in the business. Maybe then that way you can be well equipped to give that information to someone you know that's dealing with this at the moment. With that being said, I want to remind everyone, you are loved, you are special, you are wanted, and you are needed. You are here on this earth for a purpose, and we don't want you to leave prematurely. Please take care of yourself, stay safe, and I will see you on the next one.